Man, can you believe that my car was stolen? This is Pastor Andre Battles, and I'm here representing I Battle Daily Ministries. My last name is Battles. It's not a stage name. I didn't come up with it because it was catchy. My last name is Battles, right? And I'm here representing I Battle Daily Ministries as well as the End of Days, which is my ministry page here on Facebook, where most of you are watching. Now, some of you are watching me also on Andre I Battle Daily Battles Facebook profile. And then there's some of you that are watching on YouTube. However, you're watching, thank you, because you could be anywhere in the world right now. You don't have to be with me here. But yeah, believe it or not, my car was stolen. You're like, what, Pastor Battles? What? But aren't you sitting in your car right now? Well, yes, because this car wasn't stolen. The year was 2018, and I drove a Toyota Camry. Oh man, I still miss that car to this day. I was in love with that car. The gas mileage was superb. I mean, I think I was getting almost 38 miles to the gallon of gas out of that car. And this is the best part, y'all. This is the best part. Y'all ready for the best part? It was paid for. That car was paid for. All right. So I didn't have a note. And I don't have a note now. My car now is a 2003 Toyota Sequoia. And baby, this thing drive. I don't know how and why people get caught up trying to keep up with the Joneses. And so we go and we get loans to buy cars that we can't afford or live in houses that we can't afford to live in just to keep up with our neighbors and our friends and our social network. That was never me. I'm going to tell you the truth. I never cared about nothing like that. As long as I was comfortable, I was okay. Well, at the time, I had this Toyota Camry, and it was a gold color. It didn't have no rims, no sound system, none of that. Matter of fact, it was a 1998 model Camry, so it only had a tape deck in it. Now, of course, we got the new systems nowadays where you can put the little tape player inside the tape deck and then run the cord from the end of it to your iPhone or maybe to a CD player so you could play all your favorite tunes. And I used to do that. I mean, it don't cost a lot of money to be up on game and to be able to keep up with the hip stuff, right? And I've listened to all my music. Well, it got stolen. And listen, here's the story. At that time in my life, the year was 2018. Ooh, boy, your boy was on some serious drugs. Y'all hear me? I talk a lot about my former lifestyle. And if you don't like it, you got a few options. Number one, you can get gone. You can get lost. If you don't like hearing stories about where a sinner saved by grace has come from. If you one of them creatures here on earth who think that, well, a sermon don't have to be about where a person came from. Why don't you just talk about Jesus? Well, me talking about Jesus is a little bit undone if I don't tell you where I've come from and where Jesus has taken me to and what he's doing for me in my life currently, right? Because some of us, we just want to pretend in front of people that we got it all together when we know good on earth that we don't. Well, listen, at the time I was snorting cocaine. At the time I was smoking marijuana. At the time I was drinking alcohol. And some of us also right now on this very day, July the 30th of 2024, are struggling with some of the same issues: marijuana, cocaine, tobacco, alcohol. I was cheating on my ex-wife. How many of you know what that's like to have a spouse, but yet you're not faithful, right? I was doing all these things and I wasn't happy because you start compiling and just adding extra crap to your life, right, Sister Rachel? And you come to a place where you understand that none of the stuff, the extra opportunity, the extracurricular activities, the drugs, the alcohol, the sex, the men, the women, the pornography, the smoking, the drinking. You come to a place, Sister Rachel, when you said a saint is a sinner that falls down but gets back up. Girl, don't make me preach. But you get to the place in your life where all of these extra things aren't beneficial to you. and you know it, right? But you still compile more extracurricular activity upon yourself because you're not happy. You're not at peace. And because you're not at peace, because you're not happy, what you end up doing is that you start trying to busy yourself and stay busy with more activity. And you find that more activity doesn't bring peace. And so you come right back to that place of dissatisfaction. And this is where I was. But when I was drinking and smoking and all this other stuff, cheating on my wife at the time, my ex-wife, I wasn't happy. You know, I want you to believe and understand that there are consequences that come into our lives as a result of what we do. Okay? Good or bad. Now, there's nothing wrong with having good consequences. For example, you exercise and you're consistent. And so one of the consequences of consistent exercise is big muscles. You start losing weight. You feel better. For you husbands out there, you have more stamina in the bedroom. For you wives out there, you start losing certain pounds to where you can slip back into a gown that you couldn't wear before. I mean, there are benefits to doing right, and there are good consequences. But for me, at this time in my life, when my car was stolen, I wasn't living right. So I was reaping the negative consequences of the bad decisions that I was making. And oh boy, was there a lot of bad consequences at that time. And I believe that one of the reasons why my car was stolen back in 2018 was because I was not faithful in my relationship with God, Sister Rachel, and the rest of you that are out there now. I don't know who's watching, but if you'd like for me to call your name so I'll know you're here watching, leave a comment in the comment section. Say, hey, my name is so-and-so, and I'll say hello to you because I'm a friendly pastor. I want to talk to you. Don't be a stranger. Let me know who you are. Vicky Stewart says, the end of days, what area was it stolen from? Vicky, my car was stolen from Shreveport, Louisiana. And here's the crazy thing. Now, I'm going to tell you, I can't blame the criminals completely for this car being stolen. Okay? I can't completely blame them. All right? And the reason why I say that is because remember I told you that there are consequences that come into your life as a result of decisions that you're making. And at the time, my ex-wife and I, we were fighting all the time. And one of the things that I would used to do, I would jump out of the house, the apartment we were renting at the time. I would jump in my car and I'd just sit there, roll up some blunts and start smoking and just sitting in my car in the driver's side seat of the car in the parking lot of the apartments where we live. But here's the crazy part. My ex-wife would sometimes take the keys because she knew that I was going to do nothing but go and get into trouble. So often she would take the keys and she would hide them. And you may be saying, well, shoot, she didn't have the right to do that. You're a grown man. And yes, I was a grown man in stature. I was a grown man in my age, but I wasn't grown in my behavior. All right. And Sister Vicky is saying, Andre Abad Battles, have you contacted the police? This was, like I said, this was 6 years ago, Sister Vicky. So don't worry. I've already come to a conclusion about this situation. This situation has been dealt with. This was the year 2018 when this took place. All right. But I'm sharing this story because I feel that there's some spiritual encouragement here for us to take from this story. So my wife at the time, my ex-wife, she would take the keys and she would hide them. And of course, I would go around the house looking for the keys. And every now and then I would come across the keys and I would win the jackpot, be like, yes, I found the keys. So what I would do is when I would find the keys and I was still drinking, smoking, hanging out in the car, snorting cocaine and, you know, whatever I was doing in the car, I would simply leave the keys in the car. That was a mistake there. I see you, Love Token, on YouTube. Thank you for being here and thank you for leaving a comment. You didn't tell me your name. Now, Love Token, I'm sure is not your name. And for the rest of you that are watching, please leave a comment so I can say hello to you. I want to know that you're watching. I have people that follow this ministry from all around the world, and I would like to say hello to you. So leave a comment and let me know who you are so I can say hello to you. Because at the end, I'm going to offer you an opportunity to come to our prayer line, which is every morning, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can fellowship with us. So like I said, part of the reason why I'm not all the way upset with the criminals who stole my car was that because I used to leave the keys in the car in hidden places. And here's the thing, I had busted the window out of the passenger side on the rear. So right behind the driver's seat, the passenger window was busted out. And I had busted the window out simply because I had went to the hospital one year, couldn't find the keys. I don't know if someone stole the keys from my car while I was in the hospital. I was there for about 4 or 5 days. I couldn't find the keys. So I busted the window out of the car thinking that maybe I had locked the keys in the car. Well, I ended up having to get a key cut anyway. So that was $100 extra that I had to spend. And I never patched up the window, the passenger side window in the back. Well, I would hide the keys to the car in different places because remember I told you my wife at the time, she used to hide the keys. So I left the keys in a particular place and the car was a junky mess. All right. It was a junky mess. It smelled like weed in there. There were empty bottles of beer in there. There were stems from the marijuana that I was whirling up, seeds from the weed. If I didn't have a good batch of weed, there'd be seeds from the weed sitting around in the car. I mean, I was a slob in 2018. I was a bum and I was not a responsible man. And so someone said, I'm John from Walgreens. What's up, John from Walgreens? That's Love Token talking still. What's up, Big John? Man, good to see you, bro. It's good to see you, man. I know who you are. Bro, you need to leave me your phone number. I don't know if you're on Facebook. I know you messaging me on YouTube. Man, we need to get together, bro. Text me, John. Text me at this number. Listen, John, that number is 423-347-9422. That's my ministry line, John. 423-347-9422. And any of you can text me there. John, that's 423-347-9422. Hit me up, John. It's good to hear from you. Then Nicole Johnson said, hello, my name is Nikki from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So good to have you. I want you all to hit the share button because that's not going to cost you anything. It's free for you to hit the share button. And if you're blessed by this ministry, why not give someone else a chance to be blessed as well? For the rest of you that hadn't commented and let me know who you are, don't be shy. Let me know who you are. I want to say hello to you. Well, guys, I left the keys in the car, went to sleep that night, and the next day I woke up and my car was gone. And the crazy thing was the car was parked directly outside of our window. We had a downstairs unit. Our apartment was a downstairs apartment. And I mean, literally not even 5 feet away from the bedroom window where my ex-wife and I slept was our cars. And so I remember waking up the next morning early and I looked out the window and my car was not there. So I went to my ex-wife and said, hey, did you move my car? And she looked at me, she said, no. I said, come on, stop playing games with me. I know you moved the car. She said, Andre, I didn't move your car. Okay. Hey, Sister Davis, good to see you. Miss you on the prayer line. And she said, my wife at the time was like, no, I didn't move your car. And bro, Big John, you know exactly what apartment building I'm talking about because you've had dinner in this apartment building with me and my ex-wife before. Okay. The car was gone. Sure enough, it was stolen. So we called police, obviously. And later on that day, a police officer comes knocking on the door saying that, hey, Mr. Battles, Mrs. Battles, we found your vehicle. Unfortunately, we didn't find it in one piece. And it is hilarious, Natalia. It is very hilarious when you think about the reality of my stupidity and the stupidity of sin. When we start getting caught up in sin, we do some stupid stuff. But don't leave yet, guys, because I have a scripture I want to share. And I told you that I would share with you the prayer line where we have stories like this every day. And we encourage one another. We grow with each other. So please don't leave. I'm going to share that information with you here in just a minute. But the police officer came and he was like, look, we found your car. It was wrecked. Well, we asked him, well, what happened? Who was it that stole the car? Well, there was a group of young people in the neighborhood where I was living at the time. And they had a nickname for themselves and everything. They were those little bad boys that ran around trying to make a name for themselves, trying to show off. And, we've all perhaps had that little spurt, those experiences in our lives where we were like that. Now, many of us probably didn't steal no cars while we was living that way. But anyway, these guys did. And this wasn't the first car they stole. They had stolen some vehicles in the neighborhood before. Not only had they stolen cars before, they had also broke into a vacant apartment in the apartment complex where we were living at the time. And they had set up shop and had a little headquarters on the property in this apartment room or apartment building that they had broken into. And they had had a couple of run-ins with the cops. On this particular situation, when they stole my car, it was a young man, I think he's about 15 or 16. He broke into the car and he looked around and found the keys. And I'm sure he felt like he hit the jackpot, and he did. And so he decided to take the car to joyride. I mean, hey, I found the keys in the car. I was already going to try and steal it anyway, is what he was thinking. But then I found the keys in the car, so it was almost like destiny, right? And he went on a joyride in the car. Crashed the car into a car on the street, lost control of the car, and crashed the car into somebody's house. Completely totaled the car and did quite a bit of damage to the person's house as well. And the cop was like, well, if you want to come pick up the car, you can, but it's not in good working condition. And we only had liability insurance on the car, so they weren't going to cover the damages because liability only covers the damages of the person you hit when you get in a wreck. Well, someone stole my car and wrecked it, and wrecked someone else's car and wrecked someone else's house. So I didn't get any damages back from the vehicle at all. And so we just let the car stay in the impound station at the police station in Shreveport, Louisiana. We never went and picked it up. We never even went and looked at the car. And there were a few valuables in the car, but I was too embarrassed because, like I said, there were empty beer bottles. There were marijuana paraphernalia all up in the car and just crazy stuff that I didn't want to go and claim because I knew that it would cause me some legal trouble. So I just left it there, Sister Rachel, and the rest of you that are watching. So what am I trying to say? Why am I sharing this story as we bring this story to a close? I hope you all hit the share button. Remember, that's free. Often we get angry when a pastor asks us to do something that requires a sacrifice. But what about when a pastor is asking you to hit the share button, which is free? We sometimes have a problem with that too. So I'm asking you to hit the share button. Please share this with others so that the ministry can grow, but that we can get more people aware of Christ and his righteousness and that he's returning and that we can go home. If you're not preaching the message, that's okay. But at least support someone who is and hit the share button so that this message can go forward and others can be encouraged so that we can finally one day soon go home. So why am I sharing this story? Some of us have this idea that God is cursing you, or that God doesn't love you, or that God is a responsible party when you are not being blessed. Some of us go around saying that God doesn't love me. And you say the reason why you believe this is because you constantly are being punished, is what you say. Every time you turn around, you're being punished for something and you're blaming God. But at the reality of the day, or at the end of the day, when you stop and you think about your choices, it is really the result of your choices, my choices, why we are often disciplined the way that we are. God isn't walking around looking for someone to punish. He is not a tyrannical God. And I know that some people have given God that rap, meaning that they have advertised God as an unfair person looking for people to judge, rebuke, condemn, punish, etc. But it's not true. Brothers and sisters, what I want you to understand, My car was repoed, or rather, my car was stolen, and it was wrecked because of my bad choices. Number one, I was using the car to sit around and smoke marijuana in. I was a vegetable of the person I am now. I'm not even a semblance of that person that I used to be then. Now, I have regained my consciousness. The Holy Spirit has come back into my life. I've been a busy man for Christ, whereas back then I was busy with drugs, alcohol, and women. I have come back to my right mind because of the grace and the mercy of God. And I would love to share that testimony with you, but I'm encouraging you to come to the prayer line so you can get more of my story and more of the scriptures that we share there. Well, listen, in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 7, there are some verses here that I think we need to be aware of. And I'm going to read them to you. This you need to know, says the Bible in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1, that in the last days, perilous times are going to come. What's perilous? Troublesome, dangerous times in the last days. This is what the Bible's saying. For men shall be lovers of their own selves. They'll be covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to their parents, unthankful, and unholy. They will be without natural affection. They will be in the last days truce breakers, false accusers, incontent, and fierce, despisers of those who are good. So the Bible is creating an atmosphere of what the world is going to look like